You know, we talk a lot about diet and exercise for heart health, and yeah, they're absolutely key. But what if I told you there's a bigger player in the game, one that's literally written into your DNA? Well, today we're diving into triglycerides and the surprisingly powerful role your genetics play. Let's get into it.
Just think about that for a second. What if the best health plan for you wasn't some generic one-size-fits-all diet? What if it was a personalized blueprint based on your own unique genetic code? That is exactly what we're going to explore.
All right, first things first, what exactly are triglycerides? Well, think of them as your body's energy reserve. When you eat, your body takes all the calories it doesn't need right away and converts them into this type of fat. They then hang out in your bloodstream and fat cells, just waiting for when you need a boost. It's a pretty brilliant system, really, but it can definitely get overloaded.
And when that system gets overloaded, things get serious. This isn't just about a number on a lab report, you know? High triglycerides are a major red flag for some really critical health issues, like heart disease, stroke, and a super painful condition called pancreatitis.
So, how high is too high? Let's look at the numbers. As you can see, anything under 150 is considered normal, but once you start creeping up past 200, you're in that high zone, and that's when doctors really start paying attention. And then there's that very high level. That's when it's not just a long-term risk anymore, it becomes a much more immediate concern.
I really want to focus on this number for a second, 500. This is that critical line in the sand where triglycerides are considered very high. At this level, the risk for acute pancreatitis just skyrockets. It's a huge reason why getting those numbers under control is so important for your health right now, not just years down the road.
Okay, so for years, pretty much the entire conversation around high triglycerides has been about diet and lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, those things are absolutely crucial. But they're not the whole story, not by a long shot.
In fact, you could be doing everything right, eating super clean, hitting the gym, avoiding sugar, and still be struggling with high levels. And the reason why might actually surprise you. So here's the big reveal. Your genes. They're the ones writing the instruction manual for how your body processes and clears fat from your blood. They are the lead authors of your entire metabolic story. So let's meet some of these authors, or as I like to call them, your body's metabolic managers. These are the genes that are really calling the shots when it comes to fat.
Okay, think of this like a specialized team. First up, you've got the LPL gene. It's the breakdown crew, responsible for dismantling triglycerides right there in your bloodstream. Then you have APOE, that's the transporter. It's in charge of telling those fats where to go. And finally, there's APOA5, the activator. It's kind of like the foreman on the job site, telling the LPL crew to get to work. It's this team that manages your body's whole fat-clearing operation. And this is exactly why your genetics are so important. Even tiny little variations in these genes can mean your personal breakdown crew is just a bit slower, or maybe your transporter isn't quite as efficient. The result is the same. Your body has a harder time clearing fats, and your levels start to climb.
All right, so knowing you might be genetically predisposed to this is powerful information. But the real question is, what do you do about it? Let's get into the personalized health playbook, because this is where we get to the actionable steps.
So whether your risk is genetic or not, your diet is always going to be your first line of defense. And this isn't about some crazy restrictive diet. It's all about making smart swaps. Cutting back on things like added sugar and trans fats is a no-brainer, especially since your body is just ridiculously good at turning sugar into triglycerides. And on the flip side, bringing in more healthy fats from foods like salmon and avocados can actively help you manage your levels.
Let's just boil it all down into a simple 3-step plan. Step 1, optimize your diet, just like we talked about. Step 2, get moving. The goal is about 150 minutes a week. Exercise is a game changer because it actually tells your muscles to pull triglycerides right out of your blood for fuel. And step 3, think about supplements. Things like omega-3s have been shown to be really effective.
And here's a pro tip you can use every single day. The nutrition label. That is your cheat sheet. Get in the habit of looking at total fat and especially that line for includes added sugars. It's the best way to make smart choices right there in the grocery aisle.
So all of this really brings us to the core idea of what we call precision health. It's about moving past the generic advice we all hear and starting to understand your own personal biological landscape.
This quote just nails it perfectly. Knowing your own genetic risks lets you make targeted changes. For instance, if you have a specific variation in that LPL gene,
You might find that cutting carbs has a way bigger impact for you than for somebody else. Or maybe you'd benefit more from a higher dose of omega-3s. That's the real power of a personalized approach.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that knowing your genes empowers you to be proactive. You can make smart choices today to head off problems down the road, instead of just reacting to a bad lab result after the fact.
At the end of the day, your DNA is your unique health blueprint. It holds the clues, the warnings, and the instructions that are just for you. So the only question left is, are you ready to read it?